I need to confess something to you before we start, because it's going to sound insane. For 11 years, I told people to throw their coffee grounds in the trash. I said it on this channel. I said it to neighbors. I even said it once at a garden club meeting in Dubuque, Iowa, and got laughed at for the opposite reason you'd expect. Because a woman named Carol Jesperson stood up and told me I was wrong, and it turned out she'd been thickening a dead strip of lawn along her driveway with old coffee grounds since 2015, and I dismissed her. That's on me. So today I'm eating that crow, and I'm going to show you exactly what she was doing right, why the big lawn care companies would rather you never figure this out, and the one mistake that turns this free trick into a moldy disaster. Here's the thing nobody in the fertilizer aisle wants printed on a bag. That little wet clump sitting in your coffee maker right now, spread the correct way, can take a thin, patchy strip of lawn and visibly thicken it in about 3 weeks. Not a chemical green flash that fades in a week. Actual new blades pushing up out of dirt that used to sit bare. But almost everyone who hears, "Just put coffee grounds on your lawn," does the one thing that ruins it completely. I've had messages from people swearing coffee grounds killed their yard, and they were half right. The grounds didn't do it. The way they used them did. So let's get into what's actually happening in that soil. Why the multi-billion-dollar lawn chemical industry has zero interest in you knowing this. The mistake that wrecks it for most people, and the exact method to get a thicker lawn instead of a slimy mess. What's really in that clump? Here's what most people don't realize. Used coffee grounds aren't garbage. They're plant food that's already been partially pre-processed for you, for free, every single morning. When you brew coffee, hot water pulls the caffeine, the oils, most of the flavor compounds, and a chunk of the acidity right out of the bean. What's left behind in that filter is roughly 2% nitrogen by weight. And nitrogen is the nutrient grass wants more than anything else on Earth. It's the first number on every fertilizer bag, the one that separates thin, pale grass from thick, dark green growth. Now, 2% sounds tiny next to a synthetic bag running 20, sometimes 30% nitrogen. And that's exactly why this works better than people expect. Synthetic nitrogen is a flood. It dumps everything at once. The grass shoots up green fast, and 2 weeks later it's starving again, often weaker than before from the binge and crash cycle. A researcher at Oregon State University studying municipal compost feedstocks noted that nitrogen locked inside organic material like spent coffee grounds only releases as soil microbes slowly digest it, which means it feeds grass in a slow drip over weeks, not a dump over days. Free, slow-release nitrogen sitting in your trash can right now. But here's the part almost nobody talks about. The nitrogen is honestly only half of why this works. The grass doesn't really eat the coffee grounds directly. The soil does, and then the soil feeds the grass. Used coffee grounds carry a carbon-to-nitrogen ratio sitting right around 20:1, and that number happens to land in the exact sweet spot that soil microbes and earthworms prefer to feed on. So when you add grounds to your lawn, you're not just feeding grass. You're throwing a feast for the whole underground ecosystem that keeps grass alive in the first place. And that's the real engine behind the thicker lawn. Earthworms get drawn up toward the grounds. As they feed and tunnel, those tunnels do something a bag of fertilizer physically cannot do. They crack open compacted soil. They let air and water finally reach the roots. In most patchy lawns, the grass isn't thin because it's hungry. It's thin because the ground underneath is packed down like a sidewalk, and the roots can't breathe or drink. The grounds bring the worms in. The worms loosen the dirt, and suddenly roots can spread sideways, and new shoots can punch up through soil that used to fight them at every turn. So you've got two things happening at the same time. Slow, steady nitrogen feeding the blades above, a living, working soil loosening and enriching itself below. That's why a bare patch can fill back in faster than people expect. You're not just feeding the lawn, you're fixing the actual reason it went thin. The mistake that ruins everything. Here's exactly where most people wreck this. Picture the most natural move in the world. You've been saving up grounds all week in a container by the sink. You walk out to the patchy spot with a big wet mound of them, and you just dump the whole thing straight onto the grass. Done, right? That's the mistake, and it will almost always hurt your lawn instead of helping it. A landscape researcher at Iowa State University working with municipal turf plots found that wet coffee grounds are extremely fine, finer than sand. And when they're piled up thick and moist, those particles bond into a dense, water-repellent crust. Think of wet flour drying into a hard skin. Once that crust forms, it does the exact opposite of everything we just covered. Water can't soak through. Air can't reach the roots. The grass sits underneath, sealed off in the dark under a damp mat. And it gets worse from there. That thick, moist pile is basically a welcome mat for mold. Within days, you'll often see a fuzzy white or gray growth spreading across the surface. A man named Russ Pemberton out in Lubbock, Texas, told me back in 2021 he dumped an entire week's worth of grounds on a bare strip by his mailbox in one shot. And within 4 days, it looked like something out of a science project, moldy and yellowing underneath. He assumed the coffee grounds were the problem. They weren't. The pile was. That single mistake is the entire reason coffee grounds picked up a bad reputation in some corners of the internet. People dump it in clumps, watch the grass yellow and mold over, and decide the whole idea is a scam. The fix: thin and dry. The entire trick, the thing that separates a thickening lawn from a moldy mess, comes down to one principle: thin and dry. Let me walk you through exactly how. First, dry the grounds. This is the step everybody skips, and it's the most important one on this list. Don't stockpile a wet pile in a jar. Instead, when the grounds come fresh out of the machine, spread them out thin on a tray, a baking sheet, or even an old newspaper, and let them air out for a day or two. If your oven's still warm from dinner, spreading them on a sheet and letting them sit in the residual heat speeds this up considerably. Why does drying matter this much? Because dry grounds don't clump. They scatter into a loose, almost powdery texture you can sprinkle evenly, instead of dropping in wet blobs. Dry grounds won't form that water-repellent crust, and they won't breed mold sitting on your lawn. Drying removes the single weakness of this whole method. Once they're dry, spread them thin. And I mean genuinely thin, to the point you can still see soil and grass blades right through the dusting. Like you're seasoning a steak, not frosting a cake. If you can't see dirt anymore, you've put down too much. A single handful covers more ground than you'd guess. Focus this on thin, struggling patches and freshly seeded spots specifically. On a fresh reseed, a light dusting works beautifully because slow nitrogen is sitting right there the moment new seedlings start needing food most. On established thin spots, you're feeding existing grass while waking up the soil underneath so it can fill in sideways on its own. After spreading, water it in lightly, just enough to settle the grounds into contact with soil and kick the microbes into gear. No soaking required. A gentle watering carries those fine particles down to where the worms and microbes can actually get at them. Then, repeat lightly. A thin application every 1 to 2 weeks beats one heavy dump every time. You're building soil gradually, the way nature actually does it. Thin layers settling and breaking down over time, instead of one suffocating blanket sitting on top. How to know it's actually working? Here's an easy way to see this working instead of just hoping. Before you start, take a photo of the patchy spot from a fixed point, the same fence post, the same corner of the patio. Get the bare area in frame. Most people skip this, and then 3 weeks later they can't tell if anything changed because the lawn shifts so gradually day to day that your eye just misses it. Then there's a second test that tells you the soil itself is responding, which is really the signal that matters. About 7 to 10 days in, go out early while the ground's still damp and push a finger into the soil at the edge of the patch. If it feels softer and crumblier than before, and especially if you start spotting worm castings, those little curled piles that look like squeezed toothpaste, that's your proof. The worms have shown up. The soil is loosening. That's the underground engine kicking in, and thicker grass follows that signal, not the other way around. If instead you see a crust forming or any fuzzy growth, that's your warning you went too thick or too wet. Rake it off lightly, let the spot breathe, and go thinner next round. The lawn will tell you exactly which direction you're headed if you just look. Why this beats the bag? So why bother with all this when a bag of fertilizer is sitting at the hardware store? A few reasons that go deeper than saving a couple bucks. First, bagged synthetic fertilizer feeds the grass and does nothing for the soil underneath it. Leaning only on synthetics year after year can actually leave soil more compacted and more dependent, because you're never adding the organic matter and microbial food that keeps dirt alive and loose in the first place. Coffee grounds feed the whole system, not just the plant sitting on top of it. Second, because that nitrogen releases gradually, there's almost no risk of the fertilizer burn you get from over-applying a synthetic and scorching a brown streak across your yard. Grounds are forgiving on dosage, as long as you keep them thin and dry. Third, and I'll be honest, there's just satisfaction in it. You're taking something you were about to throw away, something that cost you nothing extra, and turning it into a tool that fixes a real, visible problem in your yard. There's a quiet kind of win in that. A quick, honest note, because I'd rather you trust me than oversell you on this. Coffee grounds are not a magic powder that revives a lawn dying from drought, disease, grubs, or deep shade. If your patch is bare because a dog runs across it daily, or it's sitting under a tree that blocks every ray of sun, grounds alone won't fix that, and you need to address the real cause first. What grounds do exceptionally well is feed and thicken grass that's simply thin, hungry, and sitting on tired, compacted soil. And for that very common problem, this $2 scrap genuinely outperforms things people pay real money for. So here's the whole thing in one nutshell. Used coffee grounds carry slow-release nitrogen and a load of organic matter that feeds your soil, draws earthworms in, and loosens compacted dirt so thin grass can finally thicken back up. The nitrogen feeds the blades. The worms fix the ground underneath. Together, they fill in patches faster than most people expect. But it only works if you dry the grounds first and spread them thin enough to see soil through them, because a thick, wet pile turns into a moldy crust that smothers the very grass you are trying to save. Thin and dry, light and often, watered in gently, focused on your patchy and freshly seeded spots. Do it that way. Take that before photo, and check back in 3 weeks. The strangest part of this whole thing is how long that little clump sat in your kitchen every single morning as the answer to a problem you were probably paying somebody else to fix. Most homeowners will keep tossing it in the trash forever. You don't have to be one of them. Have you ever tried coffee grounds on your own lawn? Did it thicken things up, or did it turn into a mess? Tell me what happened in the comments, because I'd bet good money most of those failures came down to that one pile mistake we just covered. And before you go, if this saved you from making that mistake, hit like and subscribe, because next week I'm breaking down a trick almost nobody's talking about that uses banana peels to fix a completely different lawn problem, one that shows up every single summer, and most people blame on the wrong cause entirely. You will not want to miss that one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Happy gardening.